Hello, everyone. Time is exactly 11:33. I'm on time as always. Welcome to the live podcast. Monday is always HR Madness. Of course, I'm only doing Mondays now, and it's always going to be about HR. Today, I want to talk about small business leadership skills, right? And they start with knowing how to pay correctly, combined with a great job ad. This is the basic strategy you need to grow your business from 0 employees. As an owner, if you don't define your business strategy early, you invite chaos and toxic work environments later. So my wife just texted me, of course, just as I start the show. She's snacky at work and doesn't have snacks. I hope everyone listening is got a lunch or a snack while you're covertly listening to me at your office during work hours. Oh no. But that's the definition of a lunch and learn, isn't it? You're going to learn a little bit and you're going to have your lunch. So, I think everything's all set up. This is... and she's like, sorry, you're live right now. Yes, of course, I'm live right now, and she knows that. So, anyway, who's on the chat? My sister, Joy. She's got the snacks. I got the snacks. Of course, she doesn't work. She's just listening from home, or in her truck, or from my mom's house. I don't know where she is right now. Anyway, it's good to have the snacks. Good to have the snacks. All right. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, small business leadership skills, right? Pay correctly, combined with a great job ad. So let's talk about this a little bit. As a small business owner, your personal finances start with strong business finances. What's the first step to strong business finances? Do we know? Happy employees make your customers and clients happy. Happy customers mean a possibility of better business finances, right? Your employees, especially if they're customer facing or they're doing work for a customer or a client, their first job is to make sure that client's happy, right? All the basic stuff, responding quickly, showing the results, giving feedback, right? My sister's in her truck doing taxi trips around town. Drive safe. So the small business finances depend heavily on how happy your employees are, right? And at first thought, you're like, who the hell cares if my employees are happy? But when you really think about it, happy employees is the only thing that are keeping some organizations and businesses going. If they weren't happy, they'd be leaving, right? So I'm advising you today. It's time to take my wise advice and take your small business to the next level. It is sad to see small businesses that don't survive past the 5 years. It is really sad. And when we have an economy that here, at least here in Alberta, and I think most provinces in Canada, rely heavily on their small businesses. My stats are a little out of date. I need to update them. But about 5-10 years ago, 75% of all working adults in Alberta worked for a small business. 75% of people rely directly on a small business to make their income to pay for their life. 75%. That's an extreme number. 75% of the money going into the economy is coming from people that work for small business. Small business definition in Alberta would be something like less than 99 employees and less than $5 million revenue per year. This would be the definition of a small business. So that's a big range, right? That's everything from just some side hustle where you've hired someone to work with you, to the mom and pop store, to most retail stores, right? Convenience stores, they don't have more than 99 employees. I think most retail stores probably have maybe 25 employees. Now, we're not talking about the big box stores, Walmart, even Shoppers or any of the grocery stores. They're going to have 25 employees per shift. So very easily they could be over the 99 employee mark. So many. Yeah. Joy says, so many businesses have failed in our community because they can't keep staff. I can see this. Small business owners are scared, frightened to pay properly because wages is such a big part of our expenses for a small business, well, any business. That's why you see some big multi-billion-dollar company in trouble. They fire 6,000 people, right? That's the first place they can go to really change their numbers, and that's sad. But when you're trying to do that with a small business, your business fails. If you can keep a happy employee there for multiple years, your business is going to do better because your customers and your clients, they're going to get to know the employees and create a rapport with them, things like that. I used to work for a friend's gas bar. And when I first started there, I got some strange looks, and I joke a lot, and I try to joke with the customers as they were coming in and helping them as fast as I can and, giving them the good customer service. Well, I was there at least 6 months. I don't know if I was there for a full year, but I got a better opportunity, a full-time opportunity. So I was like, yeah, we got to go with that. And of course, it paid more than a convenience store because it was more in my field. So that's all right. But when I left that business, our friends kept saying, yeah, they keep asking about you. Hey, where's that big guy? He was funny. He was nice. And so that makes me feel good because then I know I was doing something right. Another great example of that would be when I first moved to Edmonton here, this last time. I got a job at a video store, movie gallery. And when I first started dealing with those clients, a lot of them were just grouchy and complained about the late fees and, um, just everything. And they didn't like me. But oh my God, who's at the front door now? I have no idea who's at the front door. They've dropped something in the mailbox. Okay, I don't know who that is. It's gonna have to wait. Sorry. You'll have to wait till I'm done, man. So, where was I? Son of a motherless goat. Right, I was at the video store. So I'm helping these clients. Everybody complained about stuff. By the time I left there, this one couple who seemed really, I don't know, she seemed like overly fashionable, stuck up, right? And he was like muscular macho man, a-hole type people, right? And when the first few times I saw them, that's what I got. And I did everything I could to try to be a good employee for them. Well, before I left, they were walking into the store and yelling my name, "Hey, Ian," as they walked in, and they were really chatty and happy to see me. They knew they were going to get good service when I was there. And the wife, she also started telling me stories about her girls only weekend and the stuff they were doing and partying it up to get away from it all. And it was just like, this is very strange that they have completely flipped. And now they're like my best buds, telling me everything. I know I was a good employee because I could see the customers, the change in their demeanor, the change in how they acted about me. They remembered my name, and I know I was a good employee. And I think as a small business owner, if you can see your employees having that sort of effect on your customers, like they come in and they're like, "Hey, where's Ian? Is Ian working today?" If they ask about a certain employee, that means something. That really means something. And hopefully it's not just because your employee is giving them deals and free stuff, right? Hopefully it's not that. Oh, hibiscus tea. Still a little warm. So, yeah, the happy employees is such an important thing. And it was interesting because when I was at Walmart for a week, I worked at Walmart for a week in their electronics department. And halfway through that first week, I got another offer for $1 more to go work at the video store. And in hindsight, I think I could have got more at the video store, but I was scared to negotiate. I was just happy it was more than Walmart. Walmart was paying me $11. And the video store started me off at 12. So, okay, it's better than nothing. Still not that great. I'm making about $100 a shift. But Now the minimum wage is 15. And this was only less than 20 years ago. To see the price, I think minimum wage at the time was, I don't even remember. It was like $9.50 or $10 or something like that. Or like, I don't know, $7.50. I don't know. It just seems so long ago. And it was neat to see that change. But I really had to fight for a pay raise after 6 months, at least 6 months. It might have been almost a year at the video store. I really had to fight to get that a pay increase, and I think they gave me something little like 25 cents or 50 cents. I left there at like $12.50 when I really feel like I made an impact, but I had no real store manager, and the store managers kept flipping by, and they didn't offer me the store manager position. So there was very little loyalty to anyone other than the regional training lady that hired me and trained me, but she wasn't a manager for that store. She was just a trainer. So she would come in and train just new employees in the region. I liked and respected her, and I wish she was my store manager, but she wasn't. I mean, that would have been good. That would have been somebody that I was loyal to. And actually, after I quit on one of the managers, she got back to me like 2 months later or something like that. And she called me back to work because they had actually fired that manager that I quit on. So, but they still didn't make me manager. I didn't stay quite as long after that. I think another 6 months, and then I got a job with the government, making even better money. So yeah, I gotta go. So what was that example there? I went from Walmart almost immediately to the video store because of pay. I was hassled and had trouble trying to get a pay increase at the video store. So as soon as I got an offer for even better pay, I jumped ship. Damn straight, I jumped ship, right? Because it was the money I needed. It wasn't anything else at that time. I was new to Edmonton. I was trying to make a new life here in the city. And we know now, cost of living in Edmonton is almost $23 an hour. If you're making less than like $22.60 or something like that, you're making poverty wages and you can't even survive in this city on your own. So good pay attracts the best. That's why I say hire someone who's going to generate you revenue in some way, shape, or form. That's their job, to increase revenue or to replace you making revenue so you can, as a business owner, can build your business more, right? And you need to put your pay range on your job ad because you want to attract the best. If you don't put the pay range on, it's slimy, it's untrustworthy, right? You want to say this amount minimum with someone with no experience, this amount maximum with someone who's got the best experience, right? That's what you can afford to pay. And then you budget in there. This is a really weird sound right now. I don't get why it's making this hissing, terrible sound. Oh my God, we're switching to chill. And of course now there's no music. The same music? No, okay. That was terrible music. Terrible. So, good pay attracts the best. Let people know what your pay is. You put that pay range in there. If they're demanding more, it's a hard no, because that's all you can afford. But it has to be good. If you're in a city like Edmonton and you're paying less than $22.60 an hour, you're going to get an employee who is going to jump ship like I did, constantly looking for a better job and more pay. So you got to pay well enough that your employees don't feel financial pressure in their home life to change jobs. So there's a balance, what your business can afford and what the market basically demands if you want to stay alive. $22.60. So yeah, good pay attracts the best. And that leads to my next pay. I'm not paying you nothing. My next point: good pay keeps good workers long enough to learn whether they want to stay. So you have an employee who feels like they're getting paid enough money. They figure they could survive on this and maybe get a little ahead. That's how you want them to feel. And so good pay gets you the top candidates, the best candidates, and good pay keeps them there long enough for them to make a decision on whether they actually want to stay with you. Oh, tea. Oh, that's warm. That's good. Helps my throat. So, what am I trying to say here? Every employee will consider jumping ship if they don't have a healthy work environment. If you're a terrible boss, and there's different versions of being a terrible boss. Either you're just a big a-hole and you're yelling at everybody and you're micromanaging, right? You could be that type of boss. You're going to lose people. You could also be the type of boss that's too hands-off, and you're just saying, this is how you work this thing, go. Right? But you haven't given them enough structure. There has to be some sort of structure there. Some sort of strategy. During your downtime, if you're not dealing with a customer or client, do this, this, and this. And here's your list of importance for the day. Or, like you give them some structure. Some sort of structure. And it's not... at the bottom of a long list of things you should do in your downtime would be contact me for more work, right? Nobody's going to want to do that. So if you just say, if you're not busy, ask me. Nobody's going to ask you. They're going to sit there and do nothing while they wait. So you want to give them a list of things that they can do. And the more stuff they can get done in a shift is great, but only if they weren't busy. If it was a busy day, a lot of businesses busy on a Saturday, right? You're go all day. You don't have time to do anything else other than just help clients and do anything that pops up urgent, right? So if you're telling your employees that they have to get a certain amount of things done every shift, but you're not taking into consideration that Saturday is 4 times more busy than Monday, you're not paying attention, right? Obviously, the Saturday employees, they don't have that rule. Or there's just the very basic things they need to get done on top of helping customers and clients. So during this period, your new employee might be making good money in their view, and you want them to think, oh, this is good money, right? Doesn't have to be, this is amazing money, I'm gonna retire in 6 weeks, like, no, not that kind of money, but certainly some money that they can say, I can stay here for the next few years, pay off my credit cards, save up for a house, yada yada yada, fix my car, take care of my kids, right? You want to make sure that there's enough money in there that they won't feel the financial stress at home. So what you need to, after they're in a good place like that, you need to worry about whether or not you're a good environment, right? So what kind of boss are you? What are the other employees doing if you have other employees? Is it just feel safe? Is it a safe work environment? Mentally safe? Are you hitting on your employees all the time? That's not a safe environment. Just all these things. What are you doing to make this work environment safe and lenient enough and structured enough that the employee is in a happy space? I know I'm not being micromanaged, but I'm also not just being left alone. When I first started at Walmart, nobody was my supervisor. I was by myself. I had to take their training modules each day. But if the training room was full, I had to go to the floor and do zoning and help clients in my section. I had no training. Nobody trained me on the job. I just knew computers and electronics at that time. It's been almost 20 years, so I'm definitely not that good anymore. But there was no training. I felt alone in this giant store with like 50 employees on shift. I was by myself. Anytime I would go into the HR office where they had the training computers, I think there was maybe 10 of them in there. It's like they were so busy they couldn't help me. So I really felt alone. Now imagine if I was onboarded properly, even at my lowly $11 an hour, would I have felt comfortable enough to give it a chance and stay there longer? Maybe. But it was low pay, even back then. Oh, why'd I say back then? That wasn't long ago. Less than 20 years ago. That wasn't long ago. Make myself feel old now. Anyway. $11 an hour. If that was good pay, maybe I would have given it a better chance and learned the ropes a little bit more. But I didn't. I felt alone. I was getting bad pay. I think I was still putting out resumes. And I got another hit. And I'm like, okay, I'm out of here, right? It was long enough for me to say I didn't like working at Walmart. Now, that being said, because of their interesting training programs that they have. There's modules for everything. How to use an X-Acto knife, how to use a ladder, right? It's like X-Acto knife, box cutter, safety, ladder, safety. Like, I wasn't allowed to go up a ladder until I passed my ladder safety course. I wasn't allowed to use a box cutter until I followed the box cutter safety course. And my main trainer was all these courses, and the zoning course, zoning as in organizing the shelves. So you would go into each shelf and you would just make sure everything's pulled forward, so everything was really nice, and you made sure that everything was right near their price listing and stuff like that. Joy, you shut up your face. The new workforce wasn't even born when you worked at Walmart. Yes, and they'll pay for that. I try to think I'm not old. Turns out I might be old. Anyway. So a new person, a young person, 16, 17, 18-year-old, might really benefit from working from an organization that has these training programs like that. I just wish there was a proper supervisor that could have taken my hand and said, "Oh, I see you finished the box cutter course yesterday. Let's go do some unboxing. I want to see you using that box cutter to open up stuff. I see you finished the zoning module. Let's go do some zoning. I want to see what you think, and I'll give you any extra tips." Like, right? Like, there was just a little extra that I wanted. But I think a young person might benefit from these courses. And I think that's where Walmart is doing good. Absolutely everything safety-wise and how to run the store. I think they've created a module for. So that's good. There's a system there. But I think they've gone too far to leaving it on automatic, leaving people to their own devices. With respect to training and onboarding. Obviously, if someone is trained up and they've been there a while, they could be left to their own devices, or given training duties. So, good pay attracts employees and keeps employees there in the short term. For sure. That's where other things come into play to keep a new employee at your organization for the long term. Right? And we're talking a healthy work environment that keeps workers for the long term, providing they're well paid. I see things on the internet, like a meme that says, if you have a healthy work environment and everybody's happy, employees will stay forever. There's a big giant caveat to that. They will stay forever if they're paid well. You could have the most beautiful sunshine, roses, wildflower type environment where everybody loves each other. But if you're not paying well enough, they're not going to stay forever. Now, the reality is, if you're small business owners, employees will not stay forever. Employees may not stay more than 6 months. You, as the owner, need to be prepared for this. You need to be ready for this. And every time someone leaves, You need to analyze what happened that whole time that person was there. What went wrong? This is hard because half the time, most of the time, it's you. As the small business owner, you messed up in some way, shape, or form. So you got to find out what your weakness is so that you can fight that weakness. You want to be the best owner, manager that you possibly can. So every time someone leaves unexpectedly, that's a clue onto what's going on. Yeah, they got to be well paid. Short term, but what keeps them there long term is the healthy work environment. You got to find out what the healthy work environment is for you and your style and your organization. It's going to be different every organization. I can't give you a magic bullet, right? There's that whole too micromanaging and not micromanaging enough, right? You got to find that sweet spot, and that's where you're getting the feedback when a person leaves. Why'd they leave? What sort of things happened during this person's tenure with you that caused them to leave? You managed to attract them. If they left in the short term, it might be pay. You're not paying enough. If they left in the mid to long term, might be work environment. So figure that out. It's work. It's work, man. You got to figure this out. You really got to analyze this. It's a lot of self-reflection. It's going to make you feel terrible. It's going to make you feel humiliated, right? Like, you got to get over yourself and you got to learn. You've got to learn what's working, what's not working. So analyze it. Oh my God. Ask your friends and family what they think. They're going to be brutally honest or they're going to totally lie to you. You're a nice person, but you're a real a-hole when you're at work, right? You treat your employees like our kids, right? Like, employees aren't kids. They don't need to be supervised for the most part. They just need to be properly trained. And as long as they're properly trained and they have good money motivation, they should get the work done. Like my time at Walmart, I wasn't being onboarded properly. They were just like, okay, we'll hire you. We don't really need anyone in the electronics section, but that's where we'll put you. They were like really grudgingly. And I assumed my first day I was going to be assigned a trainer. I was not. I was alone. I remember the conversation in the HR department. If there's a computer, do a bunch of training. If there's no available computer, go out on the floor. And that was it. That was my onboarding. Nothing. I had no loyalty to that organization. If you got good pay and you know you got a decent work environment, right, this next part. Only when employees are well paid and working in a healthy work environment should you consider offering health benefits. Only if you can afford them. And remember, it's always better to just pay more if your employees are underpaid. So if you're thinking, I'm going to get some benefits and make my employees happy, that's honorable, but are you paying them enough? If you have the money to fund health benefits and all your employees are underpaid, I would advise you to just pay your employees more. If you were planning on spending X amount of dollars each month on health benefits, just take that amount and give your employees a raise. Get them to that happy point. The happy point is just above local living wage, which we talked about here in Edmonton, which is like $22.60, I think, right now. So that or above, but you also have to take into consideration industry standard. So if you're in an industry where everybody makes $30 an hour and you're paying $23, $22, they're going to still be looking, right? So if you got enough money to pay for benefits, let's just give it to your employees first until they get to that industry standard pay for that job and above local living wage. Industry standard might be below the living wage depending on your industry. So you need to consider this. You want to be above whichever one is higher. Just a little bit. That's where your employees are going to be the most happy. Or at least happy enough. If you're not paying that and you're considering paying benefits, paying out an extra $500 or $1,000 a month to get benefits for your employees, I would take that, put it into pay first. Because buying groceries, keeping your kids in daycare, repairing your vehicle, paying your rent or your mortgage, these are all survival things. If I can't do any of this stuff, I must work a second job, taking concentration away from my full-time job, right? That's survival stuff. If you're not paying your employees enough to survive, and health benefits are, who cares? Just who cares, right? It's not important. If I can't feed my kids tonight, do I care on whether or not I get benefits to get them to the dentist? What's more important? Feeding my kids tonight is more important. 6-month checkup for my children at the dentist? That's not even, it's nowhere near on the top of my list. I'm thinking, how do I feed my kids tonight? How do I keep my family alive? This is basic survival stuff. If you're not paying that, don't even consider benefits yet. Just turn that money that you were thinking you'd pay for benefits, just turn it into more wages. Make them happy. Right? Where are we at? So, if you're paying well, you have a healthy environment, and you got some benefits going, then you could move on to something more. One-time bonuses, gifts, and pizza parties, right? You need to have those 3 elements before you start thinking about these one-time gifts. All too often, business owners are like, oh, here's a one-time bonus. That'll make everybody happy. One-time bonus doesn't do anything for me when I'm trying to keep my kids alive daily, weekly. One-time bonus once a year, once a quarter, It's not something I can rely on. It's not something I can put into my own personal finances, my own personal home budget. I can't rely on that. I'll be like Clark Griswold, expecting a Christmas bonus, and all I got was a subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club. Yay! I get a jar of jam each month. I get 12 jars of jam. That's my bonus? How is 12 jars of jam going to keep my life rolling forward? So, pay well, healthy work environment, then health benefits. When we consider health benefits, there is different options for this. I would always opt for 100% employer paid. You, as a small business owner, should pay 100% of your employees' benefit programs. We have these benefits programs where the employer pays 50% and the employee pays 50%, and they get whatever percentage of benefits they get, right? I don't like that, because a benefit program that takes money out of your employees' pockets, well, that way, when the employee loses more money for this benefits, I'm struggling to keep my family alive. And now in order for me to get health benefits, I have to lose $50 a paycheck or something like that. That $50 is a lot of money when you're on the raggedy edge, barely surviving, right? Again, any benefit you enact that takes money out of your employee's pocket is a bad deal. Now, you might think, oh, but we could get better benefits because of what I can afford and what they can afford, and we can get them a better benefit program. You're still taking money out of their pocket. You're basically having them pay for half of this benefit, and that is not good. I don't like it. I don't like it. So if you've got them paid well in a healthy environment, and now you've got benefits going in, the benefit program that you're paying for as the business owner could be any amount of coverage. Talk to your insurance company and see what kind of group benefits you can afford. Because if you can only afford to fully pay for benefits that only cover 50% of the health costs for your employees, but you're paying it, they don't have to pay any extra, that's a real benefit. Even though it's only covering 50%, it's better than nothing. That's all you as the business owner can afford, and you're not taking any money out of your employees' pockets for it. So this is a better situation than having, say, 80 to 90% benefit coverage, health coverage, but you and your employee are both paying 50% of it because they're losing the benefit they get of having it is way lessened because they're paying for it too, right? So it's a sad situation. I would say, see what you can afford. Don't go for benefits. Obviously, don't go for benefits if you just can't afford it. And you're trying to make sure you pay good wages first, right? Obviously. But go ahead, do that trick where you're like, hey, insurance company, I want to pay for my employees to get benefits, but I can only afford X amount of dollars per month. What can you offer me, right? If they can give you 50%, 75%, and you're paying it all for your employees, that's nice. That's really nice. So now we finally get to the one time. Good pay, healthy environment, health benefits. Your business is going good. You're making money. Now you can start saying one-time bonuses, gifts, or pizza parties, right? These are only good after your employees are paid well, work in a healthy environment, and have some sort of health benefits. One-time bonuses are an unreliable resource on which your employees can't plan their lives or families. So the Christmas bonus, the quarterly bonus, the pizza party. I cannot pay for my kids' after-school program with a pizza party. I cannot rely on that. A bonus like this should really be something that really makes employees happy, keeps them happy, but only after all these other things. They're paid well, good, healthy work environment, and they've got some sort of health benefits. The one-time bonuses are something that your organization probably can't really plan for either. Based on this quarter's revenue and profits, you got some extra money to do something, or just to give that money straight up to your employees, right? That's nice. But you know that sales and customers come like this for the business. So when business is down, you can't give a bonus. Oh, sorry, yawning. So it's something that you can't budget for. And you should be thinking about this as logically as possible, trying to soften the blow for your business. So when times are good, you don't want to overspend each time. When times are good, you want to say, our average for the year, or last year was this. So every time we go over the average, we're going to take 50%, put it into our capital fund, our savings fund, and we're going to start making some interest on that. And the other 50%, that's what we're going to use for one-time bonuses. So you want to get to a place where your fund is nice and big, so you can do capital projects, expand the business, things like that, one-time expenses, right? You want to do one-time expenses to try to increase your revenue. That's what that's for. So then, instead of being like this, you're like this. And then you're going to be like this, right? Your business is going to slowly grow, but it's still going to be a little bit unpredictable right at the top. Like, what is our real revenue and profits and stuff, right? So this is where this one-time bonus stuff comes from. It shouldn't be coming from your regular expenses. It should only arrive when times are good. So fourth quarter of each year, a lot of retail businesses, that's their sales time. They sell most of their stuff that time of year. So each fourth quarter, you can expect that you'll be able to save up some money for next season or for next year, and be able to give your employees a little bit of bonus right at the end of the year. That's great. That's nice. That's expected. And that really creates the long-term loyalty, because they're going to say, I'm paid well, it's a healthy environment, I've got some sort of health benefits, and every now and again, I get a bonus. And that's the only time bonus works, man. If you're not paying your employees very well and they got no health benefits and it's a terrible work environment, a one-time bonus means nothing. The one-time bonus is my opportunity to get a new job, leave town, whatever, right? That's what the one-time bonus is for your employee. You're giving them an escape money so they can get away from you. But if they're getting paid well and they're happy and they got health benefits, that one-time bonus is a jump in loyalty and trust for you, for your organization, for you as the owner. That's the real difference. And it takes time to do this. It does. You're not going to do this overnight. But I think a lot of small businesses, they fail because they're not following some sort of HR strategy or growth strategy for their organization. And it's hard. This is going to be hard. If you're planning on growing your business like this, it's going to be hard. You got to learn. You got to learn. You got to grow. As a small business owner, I know you are an expert in what you do. That doesn't mean you're an expert in people management, small business, HR, strategic leadership skills, right? Those take time to learn. And for the most part, you just got to flip it and say, would I, as an employee, be happy with this situation? And don't use any caveats like, oh, that person's way younger and they live at home with mom and dad, or this person is a woman and they got a spouse who makes a lot more money, right? You can't do any of that caveat stuff trying to justify why you can pay less wages, right? It's really, really based on the local cost of living, then the industry standard for that job. Oh, it's not hard to find that local cost of local living wage. Sorry, the local living wage. Type local living wage Edmonton into your browser, into your search. Local living wage Toronto, right? I want to do that right now. Local living wage Toronto. Let's see. Local living wage as of November 2025, the living wage in the Greater Toronto area is $27.20 per hour. If you have a business in Toronto, in downtown Toronto, in order for your employees to survive, they need to be making at least $27.20 an hour. If you're paying less than that in downtown Toronto, you are paying poverty wages. Just like here in Edmonton, if you're paying less than $22.60 per hour, you're paying poverty wages. People just can't survive. What's going on, Jack? Why are you over here? Why are you bugging me? My cat Jack just meowed at me for no reason. What? What do you want? What, are you gonna talk or what? Silly cat. You want up? She doesn't want up. She wants food. I think she's forgotten that she's got food in her cat dish, her food dish. All right. So yeah, small business leadership skills start with knowing how to pay correctly, combined with a great job ad. Because, when you get 500 resumes, if you can easily just get rid of all the ones that don't match your required skills, required education, or whatever, the top 3 or 5 things that you're like, you must have this in order to work for us. If they don't have that, you can get rid of that. Right? After that, you just work on the must-haves. And then the best must-haves, not must-haves, would like the asset qualifications, right? The ones with the best asset qualifications, those are the ones that you consider doing a phone interview for. But small business leadership skills, good pay, man. That's a start. Anyway, it was a good day. Great Monday. This was my 20th Monday show. So at least for the last 20 weeks, there was a few long holidays. So it's probably been about over 25 weeks since I started doing the live podcast on Mondays. And of course, I've stopped doing them on other days. We're just doing Mondays now. So tune in next Monday. I have a habit of starting at 12:33. I'm sorry. I did kind of get myself queued up a little bit early this time. Ta-da! I'm getting better. Anyway, if you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll try to answer, especially on YouTube or LinkedIn. Other places I don't pay as much attention. Sorry. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Love you all.